Let's move on to the Dallas Mavericks, who are soon to tip off as well. Actually, next Wednesday against the San Antonio Spurs. It seems like it's always the Spurs for the tip-off game every year, playing against Victor Wembanyama. This time they'll tip off in Dallas, I believe. Are you hopeful for the Mavs this year in the first half? It's easy to say Kyrie Irving is going to be back in the second half, and you know you can let it all hang out there. But there's rumor that Cooper Flag may run point, and that'll bring PJ Washington off the bench into the starting lineup. How do you feel about this first half Mavs team?
I mean, putting Cooper Flag at point, it seems a little risky, but I trust Jason Kidd, just got a contract extension. I would trust him over my judgment. I haven't seen Cooper Flag not nearly as much as Jason Kidd has, so I don't know if I have much to say for Cooper Flag running point guard. I just got to wait out and see if that is a real viable option that the Mavericks can go with, because I don't mind D'Angelo Russell. I think he was a great pickup. I think that he's overhated. Lakers fans are just terrible fans in the NBA, and they like to blame all their players, regardless of how they're playing. Um, I mean, but going back to the question about being hopeful for the Mavs, are you hopeful for the Mavericks this year? I mean, do you think they're making the playoffs?
Generally speaking, I think they can make the playoffs. Now, it depends on Anthony Davis. I really hope the guy can just at least be limited with injuries. I just like how he was relatively healthy the past 2 years. And then, of course, when we trade for him, he's balling out, crazy efficient in the first quarter, and then just finds a way to get hurt. And it's like, come on, man. Guy had an eye injury too this past offseason. It's like we just can't get a break with some of these guys. And I think when Kyrie Irving gets back, I'm more of a second half believer that this team can really lock in with Klay Thompson, who is of course getting up there in age. But I think D'Angelo Russell will do a fine job for this team in the backcourt in the first half. I think that they can make the playoffs for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just a little confused. I'm kind of like on the wall of, I'm just on both sides here because you look at last season and it being one of the most dreadful seasons in all of sports history, the injuries, almost being threatened to forfeit games. I've never heard of that before. I've never heard of a sports team having to
The
forfeit
whole
games
team was
because they're
hurt.
too hurt. I've never seen that before. And so, you know, all things considered, that team went 39 and 43 and still almost made the playoffs. Um, and so I want to say that they have a really good chance of making the playoffs, but I also want to point out that this team feels way overhyped by the fan base. I feel the fan base just like, I mean, I don't know what kind of brainwashing that the Mavs PR did over this offseason, because what's this turnaround? Why is the fan base so excited for the season all of a sudden? It doesn't feel like nothing's changed. They got Cooper Flag and D'Angelo Russell in the offseason. That's it. AD's still going to be hurt throughout the season, unfortunately. I mean, I wish not. I'll knock on wood. I hope he's healthy, but historically, it would be accurate to say that he's not going to stay healthy this season. I also just don't think that it's the same team. It's the same team. And, um, with Kyrie being hurt throughout that first half, that's really going to affect the team. And if they start stacking up injuries, this team that people are saying is has the most depth in the league, which is not true in my opinion, is going to really start to dwindle down. We're going to have to give minutes, I don't even know who's at the end of our bench at this point. But I mean, I just, I hate to be pessimistic about the team because it feels like the energy has really shifted to, being positive for the Mavs, but I don't see how they can compete in the West. I don't think that they can compete in the West. It's a very, very tough conference, and it's gonna show. Hopefully they can stay healthy, but if they don't, I don't see them making the playoffs.
Dang. Oh my goodness. It feels like, the emotions have definitely changed since the Luka trade. No, I get it. I get it
Oh,
for sure. I think they can sneak in. When I say they make the playoffs, I don't think they're getting like a top three seed. I do think it's fair to say that they may not make it. They were a play-in team last year, getting bounced by Memphis in the very end. Surprised they even made it in the play-in the way that season was going towards the end with Kyrie and AD getting hurt. I think they can sneak in as like an eighth seed. At most seventh seed. I wish they just scrapped the play-in tournament. That's a whole different topic for another day. I'm sick and tired of us still having that in 2025. It's no longer the bubble, man. We can move on with this play-in tournament. and do it
Yeah,
the old-fashioned way.
I agree. I agree.
But
But I just think that it's, I'm sorry but to interrupt, but I'm more of a prove it guy. I'm more of a, I don't like I don't like the wishful thinking because, being a Dallas sports fan, I have to say that wishful thinking has always let me down at
oh
least
man,
90% of the time.
dang.
And if we're gonna see this team play good, or this team's gonna make the playoffs, I need to see them play good because I'm not bought in just yet, and I believe that they can be a really dangerous team. Do I think that they can make it past the first round? Not too confident yet, but you know, hey, if they have a good first month of the season, if they're looking like they can, they're looking like uh, they have a lot of chemistry. I can maybe turn around to this team, but I'm still traumatized.
Yeah,
I'm
I think
still a
you and
little
me both still
disappointed
are.
with
Yeah.
everything that's gone on with the Mavericks this past year, and so it's hard to buy
We
in.
we don't have that Mavs fire like we used to during that playoff
They
run
almost
against the
bought me
t
back in when they signed Dennis Smith Jr. Almost. It's right there. I was like,
well,
this might be the team.
speaking of people who got re-signed, Jason Kidd just received a multi-year contract extension. He'll be the lead man in Dallas for the next few years, so you'll know who'll be the head coach for Cooper Flag's early years, as he is the number one overall pick that Dallas got to select. We thought that there was some fishy business that he may not have been selected at first because just how crazy this front office has been in this past few months or the first few months of the year, but they ended up selecting him, and it'll be the Cooper Flag show seemingly for the first few months and the rest of his career, I guess. Hopefully, he can really flourish with Dallas. So